Kodak, the money that went to Kodak to allow them to develop pharmaceuticals. There are other contracts now for ventilators that have received scrutiny. Can you give us an update on how concerned you are that maybe some of these business deals are going through too quickly, they're not getting enough scrutiny? Is there any particular finding that you can offer at this point on that?
Yeah, we've made many contracts using the DPA 78 times, 30 times with regard to testing. We're very proud of what we've done. Of course, if there are new allegations with a given company, we certainly look at those and look at them closely, as we did with the Kodak situation. But we're very proud of what we've done. We were met with an unprecedented challenge, a novel coronavirus that came to our shores from China. And we are very proud that our contracts have enabled us to have a very large and growing stockpile. In fact, we've rapidly increased the amount of N95s on hand to more than 60 million. We're on track to have 10 times more than pre-pandemic levels by the fall. Significantly surged the number of gowns on hand to more than 27 million. And we have tremendous level of ventilators on hand at 109,000, and we will have tens of thousands more by the fall. So the contracts we've made have enabled these numbers, among others. I'm not even getting into therapeutics like remdesivir, but of course, if there's ever allegation, we take it seriously and look at it as we did with Kodak.
Confirm how many allegations of wrongdoing that you're looking at that
I'm
involve
only aware
Peter
of the one or two that you named out of the many, many contracts that we've had. Yes.
Thanks, Kayleigh. The herd immunity strategy for the pandemic has been called dangerous by some experts, and I'm wondering if President Trump has formed an opinion on this concept and if he thinks that that is an achievable goal.
Yeah, the herd immunity so-called theory was something made up in the fanciful minds of the media. That was never something that was ever considered here at the White House. Here at the White House, what we've done is race to get a safe and effective vaccine in record time. If we get it by the end of the year, it will far outpace Ebola, which took 14 months to get to phase 3 clinical trial, 3 years to get to completion. This will be the fastest vaccine ever for a novel pathogen. Here at the White House, we talk about therapeutics and are very proud that we've identified, we have more than 270 clinical trials, 570 in the planning stages, and successful therapeutics that we know of like dexamethasone and remdesivir. That's what we do here at the White House. The herd immunity theory, again, was something made up in the mind of the media.
On the Supreme Court, the president said that he would come out with a list of candidates by September 1st. When can we expect to see that list?
You will see it soon, certainly within the next few weeks, but it will be after the Labor Day weekend. Yep.
Thank you. Back on the cities, how would the president's plan to reduce funding to cities actually help protect citizens that you said was the goal of the president?
Yeah, that is the goal, and what the intent is to incentivize cities to follow in the way of Kenosha and Minneapolis, who, when they were in the midst of a situation that they couldn't handle just at the local level, they requested federal assistance, and it worked. Within 24 hours, you saw a much different scene in Kenosha. Within 24 hours, a much different scene in Minneapolis. So we want states to work with us, and those two models are examples of Democrats who have done so. On the contrary, you see a much different situation in New York and Portland and DC and Seattle. And some of the factors, as noted in the memo, that will go into the lawlessness assertion are whether they forbid police from intervening, whether they've withdrawn law enforcement protection from certain areas, like we saw where a police precinct was abandoned in the lawless CHOP zone in Seattle. Those are the types of changes in behavior we want to see from cities, because protecting the citizenry should be their paramount concern.
Thanks, Kayleigh. The government runs out of funding by the end of the month. Is the White House confident it can avoid another shutdown? And is the president open to including some of this COVID stimulus as part of a CR?
I haven't talked to him about that, but we do believe that we'll be able to get funding to avoid a shutdown.
Are negotiations underway now? Like, have you guys started talking to Congress about this yet?
I'd have to talk with the chief. I haven't talked to him specifically about that, but it has been discussed internally. I know at least that. Yes.
Thanks, Kayleigh. Can you give us a sense on the memo issued last night? Can you give us more of a sense of the funding that would be under review, and also why does the White House believe that this is the right time to be considering restricting funding for states? We're in the middle of a pandemic, and some are dealing with violence.
Yeah, again, so to the first part of your question, it's undergoing a review. Part of that Step one of this memo is for federal agencies to detail the funds being provided. So I can't give you a readout of exactly which funds are being looked at until that review is conducted. But why now? Why now? Because in New York City, you've seen a 177% increase in shootings in July. Meanwhile, you have the feckless government of Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo pulling $1 billion with a B from NYPD at the same time we learned that in a 28-day period, arrests were down in New York City by 62%. The looting of 450 businesses that have been damaged. In Seattle, a lawless chop zone where 2 died. Now is the right time when you see numbers like this because lives are at stake, and oftentimes the lives of innocent little babies who should be here today if Democrat mayors got their act together, didn't cut funding from police, did start arresting people and enforce the laws. Yes.
Thanks, Kayleigh. The President and Joe Biden are both going to be in Shanksville, PA, next Friday to commemorate 9/11. Have you spoken to him about appearing with the former Vice President like he did with Secretary Clinton back in 2016 up in New York?
I have no details for that upcoming event, but we are intending to be in Shanksville as well.
Okay, and then just one more follow-up on the cities. Again, I know it's under review. Has the President directed Director Vaught to make sure that future coronavirus aid is exempt from this memorandum?
I don't see in what universe that would be connected to the issue at hand, which is ensuring lawfulness
First
in the
through
cities.
FEMA or HHS or anything like that?
But again, I don't want to get into the specific funding ahead of the review process that is ongoing. Yes. Are we all set? Okay, there we go. Yep.
Thank you. Facebook said earlier today that it would be removing the post where the president was talking yesterday with the local reporter about voting twice if it's not corrected and if it doesn't indicate that the president was wrong in those assertions. What do you have to say about Facebook's move on this post?
You said Facebook designated a post. I missed the very first part.
Right. They said that they would remove the post from those profiles who posted and do not say that the assertions of the presidents are wrong.
Yeah, I haven't seen the particular post you're referring to, but the president is crystal clear here that he only, again, to read that part of his quote, if your vote isn't tabulated, then you'll be able to vote in person. This is about verifying that every vote is counted because we know voters are disenfranchised. Just in the 2020 presidential primary, for instance, there were 100,000 ballots rejected in California, mail-in ballots in New York, 1 in 5. Think about that. 1 in 5 mail-in ballots were rejected, a total of 84,000 ballots rejected in New York City alone. And we know the thin margins by which elections are decided. And we also know that as research has shown, young Black and Hispanic voters are more likely to have their mail-in ballots rejected. That's according to a Washington Post article. So the president wants enfranchisement, not disenfranchisement. That's his goal with the comments that he made yesterday.
If I may ask another one on immigration, please.
Okay.
The president had said that he would be issuing another order in September. Do you have any more information on that, when he may be issuing that immigration order?
Yeah, no updates on a forthcoming immigration bill.
Thank you, Kayleigh. If you mentioned role model cities like Kenosha, if say Mayor de Blasio and Mayor Bowser, for instance, if they were to this week take specific actions and get some of the law and order back under control, would this memo continue to go forward, or would you continue to propagate the plans listed in this memo from
We'd have to
yesterday?
see a radical change in behavior from the mayor of DC, who allowed a church to burn, from the mayor of Portland, who stood with the protesters only to be chased out of his own home, the windows shattered of his building by the very protesters he deemed peaceful, who were actually anarchists, who took the life of a 39-year-old man this past weekend. But look, when the local government doesn't act, we use every avenue available to us at the federal level, and that it pertains to this memo is one example. Another example is Operation Legend, which we're very proud of and have some new numbers for you on that. Since the operation's launch, more than 2,000 arrests, including 147 homicides, have been made. More than 544 firearms have been seized, and more than those are illegal weapons, and more than 7 kilos of fentanyl, 14 kilos of heroin, 12 kilos of cocaine, and 50 kilos of methamphetamine have been been seized, and of the individuals arrested, 476 have been charged with federal offenses, and there's a detailed readout from DOJ of each offense and the great work that our federal law enforcement officials have done. So thank you to our police, thank you to our federal law enforcement. You keep us safe when Democrat mayors and derelict governors do not. Thank you.
Can you say something about airlines?